critique over the All-Star break. Listen to what he had to say.
Well, he literally said, it's not personal. I'm not a James Harden type of guy, but with his style of play, you can't win that way.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Does that sound personal to you?
I mean, I don't know what it sounds like, but style of play, like there's pick and rolls that happen in basketball. There's isolations that happen in basketball. And I do both, so I don't really understand what that means. I just, stuff like that I don't even pay attention to, especially somebody that has no credibility.
Okay. Oh, hey, he's smiling, so let's start right there.
Fighting words.
Antoine Walker, what'd you make of the Beard's comments?
Yeah, let's start with first the credibility part first. I'm going to address the basketball part second, but the credibility part, let's just start with my career. 12 seasons in the NBA. I was a 6th overall pick in the draft. My number's 17.5 and 7 rebounds a game. Won a championship with the Heat, won a championship in college with the Kentucky Wildcats. 3-time All-Star, McDonald's All-American. One of the first guys to have his own signature shoe with Adidas. Also to add to that, I was on the cover of EA Sports, the video game.
That's right.
The list goes on and on. So those we can just put those things together. I do understand that James Harden did come in the league when it was my last year in the league in 2009 when I took a buyout. So maybe he forgot about me. Maybe this, it's been a while since he heard about me. But I'm overqualified. I'm overqualified to give an opinion about James Harden. Now the basketball part of it. James Harden is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We can't take that away from him. He's one of the greatest, I would say point guard, 2 guards that we've seen to play the game. That's definitely done. But it's an empty spot. If you're telling me, and the question was, if you're telling me if I want to leverage my future for James Harden, I'm not going to do that. I'm not leveraging my future for him. He hasn't shown me that he can get it done in big-time moments, and I believe it's because of his style of play. When you pound the ball 8, 9, 10 times to get to the basket and to make plays, that everybody's standing around watching you. I know he has a lot of assists, but that's a tough game to win, and it's shown in the playoffs. Now he's going to a team now with some other guys that'll be joining him in the Hall of Fame that may be able to get him over the hump. So that remains to be seen. And he's playing great basketball, but it's never personal. But I just want him to know, don't ever say that I'm not credible enough to talk about the game of basketball or to give my opinion. I think he's a great player. It's never personal. I don't know James Harden personally, but never say that. My credentials speak for themselves. I'm overqualified.
Twan, I was ready to come up here and talk about how sensitive we are as players, as current players. We talk about, we don't read the newspaper. We don't watch, the TV shows. We don't hear any of that. But the reality is we hear it all. And then I hear you come up here and then you give us your whole spiel of who you are and all your accomplishments. So now you got me saying, damn, retired players are now sensitive. We know who you are. We know you're a cultural icon. When I was traded to the Chicago Bears and I saw you walking down Michigan Avenue, I said, that's Antoine Walker. And we start chopping it up. And I'm seeing you at the barbershop week after week after week. And you know exactly what I'm talking about in West Loop. We know exactly who you are. You're now being sensitive. You're acting just like James Harden. One of the hardest things that we have to do as players, and all the media executives ask us when we're making that transition from football or basketball to now doing full-time broadcast, they say, are you guys willing to go there on current players? Because you have to give your opinion. And your opinion, if a year ago, I would have said I agree with you. But right now, I don't agree with you. I think James Harden has answered the call. James Harden has changed his game and his style this year with the Nets is a winning formula. So I want to push back on you on that when we talk about basketball. The whole credibility thing, you play it into his hands and you're sensitive just as he is. So I want to ask you this before we take it to Nick. Are you mixing the two games? Are you mixing James Harden in Houston and now the James Harden in Brooklyn?
No, I'm not mixing the two. What I am doing is I'm looking at Kevin Durant has yet to play. Now you're going to add Blake Griffin too. So right now, his style of play has been terrific. They've been playing great basketball. But when you add a KD, And he has to, now we'll see what happens. The jury's still out. He hasn't got it done for me yet. So I'm still waiting to see is he going to be able to get it done for me. I can't go there yet. I'm not ready to give those flowers yet, B.
And here's the other thing. Brandon, no one ever questioned, ever, if James Harden's style works in the regular season. Won 65 games, was the one seed in Houston in the regular season. We are yet to see this style in Brooklyn in the postseason. Now, I'm in a very advantageous position where, because I never played any pro sports, I have credibility to talk about all of them. It's the greatest magic trick anyone's ever played. I can talk about all the sports because I played none of them. So let me, with credibility, Antoine, defend your point. Because you know who agrees with James Harden's point that his style can't win a championship? James Harden. Because that's why he asked out of Houston. He tried for damn near a decade. His style as the best guy to win a championship, couldn't get over the hump. So he said, let me go be the second best player on a team. Now, we haven't seen that happen, really, because KD's been out, but nobody in the world thinks James Harden's better than Kevin Durant. So why didn't they win titles in Houston? Well, some of that had to do with James Harden. I'll quickly give you the history. Last year in the playoffs, down 2-1 to the Los Angeles Lakers, what does Harden do? 2 for 11. Remember that, because that number is going to come up again. In 2019, what do they do in the playoffs? Tied with Golden State, 2 games apiece. Kevin Durant goes out with a calf injury. They fold in Game 5. They roll over in Game 6. 2018, what happens? Chris Paul goes out. You have Game 7 at home. James Harden goes 2 for 13 from 3, and they lose a Game 7 at home. 2017, what happens? Game 6 against the Spurs. Kawhi's not even there. Harden goes 2 for 11, and they lose by 39 points. 2016, playing Golden State down 2-1. James Harden goes 4 for 13, and in 2015, Game 5 to Golden State. In the final game, James Harden goes 2 for 11. So, that's Harden's playoff resume. He can erase some of it. Brandon, you're shaking your head. That's what happened. That's 6 consecutive years where that happened. But we haven't seen the playoffs this year.
He had to play that way. They embraced small ball, and you're right, it didn't work. But the evolution of James Harden started in the bubble last year. Everybody want to crush James Harden, but in real time, we need to be able to give our analysis. What did we see in the bubble? He start playing defense. All of us on every single show was like, oh my goodness, look at his hustle. Look at how he's getting into the defensive side. He's playing really well. And what else was he doing? He was deferring too much. We were saying, why isn't he shooting enough? So when we talk about James Harden, I just want to be on the side of saying, okay, what we're saying in the past is right, but let's start with how he's evolving and when that started. And that started in the bubble.
Brandon, where we started talking about his defense was the block to save the game in Game 7 against the Thunder. But the reason they needed to block a shot against the Thunder was because he was 4 for 15 in the Game 7. He is one of the 30 greatest players ever who has struggled throughout his career, dating back to the finals in OKC a decade ago in the biggest spots. He's got to get that monkey off his back. That's like Wilds. That is the only knock on him.
I want to jump in here and talk about Harden's new teammate, Blake Griffin, for just a second, because Blake shined some light on why he picked the Brooklyn Nets. He said, quote, my only goal is to win a championship. Antoine, bring you back in here. How much do you think Blake helps the Nets' title chances this year?
I think he helps them a lot. I think he gives them depth off the bench. I think he gives them a guy who can help them play small ball if they want to. He can play a little 5, some 4 positions. And then I think he's at a point in his career where he can't play big minutes anymore. And with the Nets, he won't have to play huge minutes. Now, is he the same high-flying act that before? No. But he is this very skilled guy who can pass, who can make an occasional 3. Smart, has played in big games in his career, and he wants to win a title. Obviously, going with this team, it lets you know that he's ready to win a title and do whatever it takes to help a team that's already really put together, but be that guy that can come in and be a guy off the bench and be that 8th, 9th guy and get him some stability on that bench. So I think it's a great move for him and his career, and he could probably finish up there, hopefully win a championship. Right now, they're my favorite. Adding him made them my favorite to win the title.
Wow. I think you're totally right, Antoine. And I think the key is the minutes. Because right now, Nick, there's two narratives about Blake Griffin on the Nets. One is overly optimistic, like, oh, Blake Griffin. Yeah, I haven't watched him a lot in Detroit, but he jumped over a car. Oh, I remember Blake Griffin in Lob City. He'll be great. Yet another superstar in the Nets. Then you have the other side of the ball, which is overly pessimistic, like,